is time once again to go lights out with the Biff. Greg Biffle is with us. And Greg, you are coming off a pretty cool weekend where you got an opportunity to go back to Darlington to drive the pace car. When NASCAR invites you to do something like that, how big of an honor is that?
Man, it's a huge honor. I'm telling you, it's a great opportunity. And I think I've driven the pace car one time before. I think it was an Xfinity race, but this is definitely my first time at a Cup race. So it was pretty special getting to make laps around Darlington again. So it was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
In a slightly slower vehicle than you're used to. But, NASCAR Biff does a great job these days of keeping the alumni around. They have the new alumni program, and that's got to be a great opportunity also, not only to get out every once in a while, but also to catch up with guys you basically lived with for a long time.
It is. And guys that I didn't get to race with. Got Lake Speed, Robert Presley, all these guys at the racetrack get to see and trade stories and visit with. It's so nice to see all of them and catch up. I'm telling you, I'm starting to enjoy that more than anything at the track, than sitting in that beautiful room that NASCAR and Darlington put together. Big screen TV, air conditioned, food.
Yeah.
And I mean, we get to sit there and trade stories and talk about the old days and get to go outside and participate with all the events and all the things that have going on. I'm telling you, they're doing it right. And it's fun to be a part of.
So speaking about doing things right, Greg, you got a lot of notoriety, but I know that wasn't your goal. I'm glad people paid attention to what you were doing. But you were one of the first guys before anybody else, before, elected officials jumped out to help the people in Western Carolina. What was going through your mind at that time that you jumped on your helicopter and started trying to rescue people and help people out? What spurred you into that?
It's funny, John. I was working on this little 20-foot skiff boat, getting ready to go to the Bahamas the next day for like an 8-day trip. I was all excited about it. And I got this message. 2 or 3 different people sent me this message that a family with a couple of young children, infants, were stuck up at Boone or Banner Elk. And we're in Airbnb. So of course they didn't have tons of supplies in the pantry like, normal people would that live there. So they were out of food, out of baby formula, out of diapers because they'd gone through the supply they brought. They were supposed to be leaving right when that storm hit. So now the power's out. They're stuck there. And I'm telling you, it's going to be weeks before they could get out because the roads are washed out. There's a tree down about every 30 feet for 25 miles. And on top of that, the bridge is gone, the roads are washed out, infrastructure's gone. So I felt like they had no way out unless I dropped what I was doing, delayed my trip for a day at that point. That's what I thought. Until I went up to the airport, power's out. So I had to use the tug to get the hangar door open, got the helicopter out, and got in the air. Once I got in the air and up near there, I was blown away and shocked by the devastation I saw. And right away, I realized this is a much bigger situation than a lot of people know about because all communication was lost. So really, there was no reporting on it. Not from the fact that people didn't want to report it, just they had no way of reporting it. So once we started showing photos and videos and I made a message or a post that I was going up there, we got like 4,000 messages in a matter of, I don't know, an hour. Of I haven't heard from my neighbor, haven't heard from my parents, haven't heard from my kids. It was incredible what had happened and what had taken place. And I don't think anybody really knew.
So I made the point, Greg, and a lot of people were saying it was great that you did that, but I just wanted to make the point, and I put it on social media that you and I have known each other a long time, and this has always been your nature. This was not unusual for you. And people said, "Oh, how surprising it is that Biff's going up and doing this." I said, "No, it's not." I said, "It's what he always does."
I felt like I did what anybody else in my situation would have done. They had the means, they had the opportunity in front of them. And I just said, if I don't go, who's going to go? And that's really the way I looked at it. And I felt like at that point in my life, I was blessed to be in the situation I'm in and have that opportunity. So, I said, I'm going to go and try and help these folks. What turned into what I thought was going to be one day turned into 11 days in a row, sun up to sundown, and about 60 hours in that helicopter, which I had about 13 or 14 hours total until that point.
Unbelievable, Greg. Well, I know there's a lot of people that are real thankful, and what you started, you did what a leader is supposed to do. But switching gears here a little bit, Biff, to what's going on the racetrack. Lately, there's a couple drivers who have been, getting a lot of heck, for lack of a better term on that, about the driving and the respect on the racetrack. You were out there for many years and saw many different drivers drive different ways. Do you think there's a lack of respect on the racetrack these days?
There is in some instances, I think, and I've got kind of my take on it, or my principle when it comes to driving is it doesn't take any talent whatsoever or any skill to just wreck another guy. It doesn't. We can all go to the go-kart track on Friday night or whatever, and you can just plow into the guy in front of you and knock him out of the way and run him into the guardrail and go by. Anyone can do that. The guy that can come up, rub on his bumper, move him up out of the way a little bit and go by him, or work the angle until you get an opportunity. Now, rubbing's racing, but to clean a guy out for a win or a position or whatever it might be, it just sort of crosses the line. I want to see action. I want to see contact. I want to see him pushing and shoving and doing all that. But, you can't cross the line. Now, I will say, sometimes when you push and shove, somebody's going to get wrecked. That's just part of it. That's part of the nature. It's part of racing. But and intentionally just parking a guy doesn't really take a lot of skill level, and it's disrespectful.
So another thing, Greg, that's been talked about a lot is this driver approval process. It's very, very coveted spot to be in one of the cars that gets to race in the Cup Series any given Sunday or a Saturday night. It's a privilege, it's an honor, and it's a testament to your talent behind the wheel. When you saw, now you would have to go through this right now, I believe, an approval process if you wanted to get back in the race car. You've done it before.
Yep.
But what do you think of NASCAR's approval process when you look at, and the name that comes up a lot right now is Catherine Legg and what happened at Phoenix with her. And NASCAR has said each person is an individual situation. But do you think their approval process is working right now?
It's a difficult situation to be in for NASCAR because you want to be consistent, okay? But everybody has different backgrounds. And I think that the approval process should be different slightly for each individual. So let's take, for instance, Garrett Mitchell, or a lot of people know him as Cleetus McFarland. Okay? What's his background? His background is drag racing, racing Crown Vics on a oval, drifting, other types of driving things. So what would his, approval process look like? What about a off-road champion or, somebody to that nature that has a ton of driving experience, car control, talent? You think of, rallycross champion or V8 supercar guy coming over. So, or open wheel person. I think that what I'm trying to say is, I think every situation is slightly different from the amount of skill level they bring, how much background do they have in cars, what kind of cars, how are they going to handle this car on these racetracks. And I think that there's kind of a testing process. Let's get them on a short track, let's get them on a 1 mile track or a mile and a half or something to that effect. So I think each process, each person can be different. It's not like going and getting your driver's license. You have to do this and take the driving test. I think each person brings a slightly different background, and that needs to be considered when approving or disapproving of a driver, in my opinion.
So one of the guys that believed in you, Greg, and I think everybody has to have that one person that believes in them and gives them opportunity, is the late, great Benny Parsons. We all love Benny, but he also had an eye for helping people out as well. How did that whole process happen with you and Benny and Benny getting you in touch with Jack Roush? What was that process like?
Yeah, so I met Benny Parsons at a series out in Phoenix, or out in Arizona, Tucson Raceway Park. So he was doing the TV commentating, and I won a couple of those events, won the 3-race series, and I became friends with him over the year and a half. I was racing that 3-race series in the wintertime when NASCAR was in their off season. And I said, hey, what should I do about getting an opportunity to get in the truck series? And, Benny liked me. We got along well, and he passed my name around the garage. And one day he was with, talking with Jack Roush in the garage at Michigan. And Jack was looking for a driver for his third truck team. And he said, hey, don't forget about that kid I told you about out in Washington State. I think he'll do you a good job. And that's all it took. Jack Roush told Jeff Smith, which was the president of Roush at the time, call and hire that kid. It was no resume, no interview, no test. It was call and hire him. And it was like winning the lottery. It truly was. And because of that, and because of my success, I often think about other drivers across the U.S. that are in a similar situation as mine, that may or may not ever get that opportunity. And how do you get that opportunity when you are just scraping together enough money to race on Friday or Saturday?
Yeah, and I remember Tony Stewart telling us that once back in the day. He said, oh, there's a ton of drivers better than me. And this was Tony Stewart, it's a 3-time champion, telling us that, there's better drivers out there. But, man, Biff, when you look at the number of people that are playing professional baseball on any given weekend, but professional basketball or football, there's a ton of people out there. Right now, there's only about 36, 38 drivers behind the wheel of a Cup car on any given weekend. And I think that makes it really special. I think that makes it very, very unique and an elite group of people that gets to race at this level.
Yeah, you hit on a good point, John, and it's something that I talk about a lot is how many players are in the NFL? How many players are in the MLB, like you're saying? There's only 38 players technically in NASCAR. You can count the Xfinity and Truck Series. But to my point, who gets an opportunity? The game of baseball or the game of football doesn't have a car involved in it, where the car is a major factor in whether the driver's going to succeed or not. And I've said this forever. You could take Jeff Gordon or myself or Matt Kenseth or Tony Stewart and put them in the lousiest car you can find, and we're not going to win. It's just not going to happen. The car is not physically capable of winning. Now, in a football situation or baseball, they don't have that obstacle in front of them. So whether you're racing on a Friday or Saturday night in a hobby stock or limited sportsman or a late model or super late model, whatever that might be, or you get an opportunity in an ARCA car, you may be the best driver in the world and your talent is not going to show through because maybe you run 11th in the lousiest car on the racetrack. And so I'm very intrigued by our sport and how guys are recognized and of course not recognized.
So Biff, I love the you sent me a picture the other day of your daughter playing tennis. It was heartwarming, and it just made me think back to what we talked about past couple years about you being able now to have some fun. I know you got your hands in a lot of different things. You're always helping people out, but you got some time for yourself these days, don't you, to enjoy family?
I do. I'm having a great time. I'm telling you, I love John. I love the Bahamas, and I haven't been there since December, and I'm getting ready to go down there tomorrow. My son's able to go because he's able to miss school, but my daughter's that age. She can't miss, 4 or 5 days of school. I get to spend time with the family, and I'm working hard and enjoying making YouTube videos and playing with stuff in my shop and getting ready to do a challenge here in a couple weeks with Cleetus and that gang. So I'm having a lot of fun and getting to spend time with the family and really enjoying life.
Well, I am so glad to hear that, Biff, because of all the years, what you sacrificed on the racetrack and racing every weekend and being away for so long. I think you guys, all you guys really earn it, that reach the top of your profession like that. Thanks for joining us, Biff. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invite, and I look forward to the next time.
Okay, we'll see you at a racetrack soon.
Yes, sir.